Have you ever pondered the ripple effects of imperialism in Africa, how it shaped the continent's present and future? As we delve into this topic, let's first journey back to a time before colonial rule. Picture a vibrant pre-colonial Africa, teeming with diverse cultures, advanced civilizations, and robust trade networks. The continent was a rich tapestry of kingdoms, city-states, and tribal communities, each with their unique traditions, languages, and ways of life. Enter European explorers and traders, drawn to Africa by the allure of its abundant resources and potential trade routes. This period was a time of rapid technological advancements and industrialization in Europe. A hunger for raw materials and desire for new markets fueled the exploration. The initial contact marked the dawn of a new era, setting the stage for a dramatic shift in Africa's destiny. Thus began the scramble for Africa, a quest for control driven by multiple factors. What drove these European powers to extend their grip over Africa, you might ask? Well, the causes of imperialism in Africa were multifaceted, a complex interweaving of economic, political, strategic, and ideological motives. The Industrial Revolution in Europe created a voracious appetite for resources. Africa, with its vast wealth of minerals, agricultural products, and labor, presented an irresistible opportunity. Add to this the political rivalry among European nations post the Berlin Conference of 1884 to 85. This rivalry, akin to a high-stakes game of chess, fueled the scramble for territory across the African continent. Strategic interests also played a part. Control over ports, territories, and trade routes was essential for European powers to secure global dominance. Ideologically, the spread of Christianity and the belief in the superiority of Western civilization added fuel to this fire. These factors combined to create a sense of mission to civilize and Christianize African societies. Imperialism was a complex interplay of forces with profound consequences for Africa. But how did these powers assert their dominance? And what did it mean for African societies? Let's delve into the methods of colonization and their impact. European powers often used deceptive treaties as a tool of colonization. They exploited the vulnerabilities of local leaders, promising benefits that were either illusory or heavily outweighed by the costs. These treaties were typically inked without a full understanding of their implications, leading to the gradual erosion of indigenous control over lands and resources. When diplomacy failed, European powers didn't hesitate to resort to brute force. Military conquest was a stark reality for many African societies, especially those that resisted the encroachment of colonial rule. Armed resistance was often met with overwhelming force, leading to the subjugation and sometimes the near decimation of entire communities. A subtler but equally insidious method of control was the divide and rule tactic. Colonial authorities exploited ethnic, tribal, and religious divisions to maintain control and suppress resistance. By pitting communities against each other, they ensured that unity against the colonizers remained a distant dream. The economic exploitation of Africa was perhaps the most palpable aspect of colonial rule. Africans were subjected to forced labor, taxation, and unfair trade practices. The fruits of their labor enriched the colonial powers, while indigenous populations grappled with poverty and deprivation. And what was the impact of these methods of colonization? The loss of sovereignty was immediate and profound. Indigenous political structures were dismantled, and African nations became subservient to colonial administrations. Economically, Africa's resources were plundered, leading to underdevelopment and dependency. Socially, traditional cultures and societal structures were disrupted, leading to social unrest and identity crises. The human toll was staggering. Africans endured violence, displacement, and exploitation under colonial rule, leading to widespread suffering. Imperialism left an indelible mark on Africa, but resistance was brewing. As we'll see in our next segment, the spirit of Africa was far from broken. Africans were not passive recipients of this oppression. They resisted, they fought, and they emerged victorious. Let's delve into the resistance and independence movements that shaped the trajectory of Africa's history, post-imperialism. In the face of overwhelming odds, Africans fought against colonial rule through various means. Armed resistance was common, as societies refused to submit to the colonial yoke. Political agitation also became a powerful tool, with local leaders rallying their communities against the invaders. Moreover, cultural revitalization became a form of resistance, as Africans sought to preserve their identities amidst the onslaught of foreign influences. A prominent ideology that emerged during this era was Pan-Africanism. African intellectuals and activists advocated for unity and solidarity, recognizing the strength that lay in their collective identity. This philosophy laid the groundwork for future independence movements and continues to resonate in contemporary African affairs. The mid-20th century marked the beginning of a wave of independence struggles across the African continent. Diplomatic negotiations, mass mobilization, and armed struggle all played a part in these movements. The journey to sovereignty was arduous, but one by one, African nations began to reclaim their autonomy, marking the end of the era of imperialism. However, the legacy of imperialism is still palpable in Africa. Economic disparities persist as the structure of global economics continues to disadvantage many African nations, a direct consequence of historical exploitation. Political instability is another enduring challenge. The arbitrary borders drawn by colonial powers disregarded existing ethnic, tribal, and cultural boundaries, leading to ongoing ethnic tensions and civil conflicts. Despite these challenges, Africa's story is one of resilience and strength. The continent continues to grapple with its past, while forging a path towards a more equitable and prosperous future. Imperialism's legacy in Africa is a complex tapestry of struggle, resilience, and enduring challenges. It's a story that continues to unfold, shaping the continent's future.